Let me tell you something that most people never want to hear. You're not out of time, you're just wasting it. Every single day, life hands you 24 golden hours. And what you choose to do with them determines whether you live on fire or fizzle out in frustration. The truth? You're not lacking potential, you're drowning in distractions, you're not stuck, you're just spinning in the same habits, the same excuses, the same time-wasting traps that keep you average. We all say we want success, fulfillment, love, freedom, but look at how we spend our time. Because how you spend your time is how you spend your life, and the clock doesn't stop just because you hesitate. So if you're ready, really ready, to stop losing your days to things that don't serve you, then it's time to cut the dead weight. It's time to get honest, get intense, and get moving. Let's talk about what you need to stop wasting time on right now. You know why you're not where you want to be? It's not because you're not smart enough. It's not because you don't have enough time, money, or connections. It's because you're spending too much of your energy locked in your head, playing mental ping pong with your own thoughts. You're overthinking everything. You're stuck in the mental loop of what ifs and maybes and what will they think. And while you're up there in your head, life is moving forward without you. Overthinking is the silent killer of dreams. It disguises itself as logic, caution, or preparation. But what it really is, deep down, is fear. Fear dressed up in the costume of intelligence. We tell ourselves, I just need more information, or I need a little more time to be ready. No. What you need is to move. Because action, not thinking, is the gateway to clarity. The truth is, clarity doesn't come from sitting on the sidelines trying to figure it all out. Clarity comes when you step into the arena, when you risk, when you get in the game and start making moves. Even the wrong moves teach you more than standing still. Think about it. How many hours have you wasted sitting with a decision that you already know deep down you need to make? You felt it in your gut months ago. You knew what the right thing to do was. But instead of acting, you circled the runway. You overanalyzed. You made lists. You asked 10 people for their opinion. You looked for signs. You read more books. You journaled. You paced. And what happened? Nothing. Nothing happened because overthinking leads to delay, and delay leads to decay. You want momentum in your life? You want to feel alive again? You want to feel like you're actually getting somewhere? Then stop trying to be perfect and start trying to move. Progress doesn't come from perfect thinking. It comes from imperfect action. You've got to make a move. You've got to take the shot, even if your hands are shaking. Because once you take that first step, everything changes. You begin to see possibilities that weren't visible from the sideline. The fog begins to clear the moment you commit. Overthinking is your brain's way of keeping you safe. But safety isn't where the growth is. Safety isn't where your calling is. The life you want, the passion, the energy, the confidence, the fulfillment, it all lives on the other side of action. Your brain is wired for survival, not success. And survival wants comfort. It wants familiarity. It wants to keep you analyzing every angle so you never take the leap. But if you're serious about changing your life, you need to interrupt that pattern. You need to interrupt that internal monologue that says, I'm not ready, or what if I fail, and replace it with action, not thoughts, not plans, action. Think about all the time you've spent planning, researching, debating, and worrying. Has it made you better? Has it moved you forward? Or has it just made you more anxious, more hesitant, more disconnected from your gut, your intuition, your instinct? That's your inner intelligence trying to speak to you. But when you overthink, you drown that voice out. You bury your own wisdom under a mountain of mental noise. You don't need more time to think. You need more courage to act. You don't need more preparation. You need more movement. The people who create massive results in their lives don't wait for everything to be certain. They make decisions quickly. They trust their gut. They adapt in motion. They don't have to get it perfect. They just have to get it going. And that's where their edge is. That's where their power is. The world rewards action, not intention. So if you want to reclaim your time, your power, your life, you've got to make a new decision right now. You've got to decide that overthinking is a luxury you can no longer afford, that it costs too much. It costs your peace, it costs your energy, it costs your future. And for what? For a little extra comfort? For a little more imagined control? That's not a trade worth making. From this moment forward, commit to this. The moment you feel hesitation start to creep in, that's your cue to move. That's your green light. When your brain starts revving up the what if engine, interrupt the pattern. Say to yourself, that's fear talking, that's comfort trying to keep me small. Then do something, make the call, send the message, say yes, say no, take the step, even a small one, because motion changes emotion and action cures fear. Overthinking is just the habit of avoiding pain disguised as preparation. But the real pain, the pain that rots your soul, is the pain of missed opportunity. The pain of wondering what could have been if you had just gone for it. Don't let that be your story. Don't let your life be a slow drip of unused potential and delayed decisions. Interrupt the thought, make the move, own your moment, and remember, thinking doesn't build dreams. Action does. Seeking validation is one of the most deceptive forms of self-sabotage. It feels like connection, it feels like approval, it feels like love, but at its core, it's a prison. It's giving away the keys to your confidence and handing them over to someone else, hoping they'll use them to open the doors you were born to walk through on your own. And here's the brutal truth. While you're busy trying to get someone else to clap for you, life is passing you by. You don't need permission to live your life. You don't need applause to move forward. You don't need a cheerleading squad to chase what sets your soul on fire. But if you're stuck in the habit of constantly seeking validation, then you've forgotten who you are. You've forgotten the truth. That greatness doesn't ask for permission, it makes a decision. Because every time you wait for someone to approve your path, your voice, your dream, you're wasting time. And that time adds up. Minutes become days, days become years. And before you know it, your life is shaped more by the expectations of others than by the calling in your heart. Let's be honest. Validation feels good. Of course it does. We're wired to want acceptance. But the trap is needing it. When you need validation, you give up your power. You become a slave to opinions. And opinions change with the wind. You start modifying your dreams to make them more palatable to others. You water down your truth to keep others comfortable. You hesitate to speak up, take risks, or stand tall because you're waiting for someone to tell you it's okay. And in doing that, you shrink. You shrink your voice, you shrink your presence, you shrink your potential. You're not here to be liked, you're here to be real. You're not here to be approved, you're here to be authentic. The people who do the extraordinary, the ones we admire, the ones who actually shift culture, change the game, and live life on their terms, they didn't get there by asking for everyone's blessing. They got there by listening to something deeper. They trusted their own voice even when it shook. They moved forward even when they were doubted. Because validation wasn't their fuel, vision was. Think about how many moments in your life you've delayed because you were afraid of judgment. Think about the decisions you watered down because you were afraid someone wouldn't understand. How many dreams have you shelved waiting for someone to say, yes, you're good enough? How many ideas did you bury just because someone rolled their eyes or stayed silent? And what did that get you? Nothing but frustration, confusion, and a life that doesn't reflect the real you. If you're constantly chasing validation, you're living in reaction, not creation. You're reacting to others' opinions instead of creating from your truth, and that means your life is no longer your own. You become an actor in someone else's script, reading lines you didn't write, chasing applause for a role you don't even want. That's not living, that's surviving. That's existing, and it's no way to spend this one precious life you've been given. You've got to get to a place where your truth is louder than their approval, where your self-respect is more important than their recognition, where your mission means more to you than fitting in. Because here's the kicker. Not everyone's going to get you. Not everyone's going to understand what you're doing. And they don't have to. That's not their job. It's yours to understand it. It's yours to protect it. It's yours to breathe life into it even when no one else sees the vision. The moment you stop chasing validation is the moment you start moving with power. You stop second guessing. You stop apologizing for your ambition. You stop editing yourself. And in that space, you become unstoppable because your energy stops leaking into the black hole of opinions and starts fueling real momentum. Stop waiting for someone to tell you you already are. Stop waiting for someone to approve your dream. You already have the green light. Stop asking for permission to be bold, to speak up, to take the leap. No one's coming to save you. No one's going to hand you a crown and say, now is your time. You've got to declare it for yourself. You've got to crown yourself. You've got to say, this is who I am. This is what I believe. This is what I'm doing. And let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them not understand. That's their right. But you don't have to give them your time, your peace, or your power. Because if you keep waiting for validation, you're going to miss the life that's meant for you. You're going to miss the doors that open only when you stop knocking on the wrong ones. You're not here to fit in. You're here to break the mold. You're not here to be accepted by the crowd. You're here to lead your own movement, even if it starts with just one person, you. So stop wasting time trying to be understood by people who were never meant to walk your path. Get up, get clear, and go all in on the life that feels true to you. Because when you validate yourself, the world begins to follow your lead. Toxic relationships are one of the most dangerous time wasters in your life, not just because they steal your energy, but because they erode your sense of self. And here's what's even more damaging. Most people don't even realize they're caught in one until it's already drained them. When you stay in relationships that diminish you, that question your worth, that make you second guess your dreams, your values, your voice, you're not just wasting time, you're wasting you. Every moment you spend trying to please someone who doesn't respect you, trying to earn love from someone who doesn't see your value, or trying to fix someone who doesn't want to grow, you're sacrificing the precious hours, days, and years you could be using to build the life you were born for. You can't grow in an environment that suffocates you. You can't heal in the same place that broke you. And yet so many people stay because they're afraid of being alone. They stay because they think loyalty means suffering. They stay because it's familiar even if it's painful. But familiarity isn't the same as love. Familiarity isn't the same as peace. Just because you've known someone for a long time doesn't mean they deserve a front row seat in your life. Just because you have history with someone doesn't mean they get to dictate your future. You've got to wake up and realize that your circle, your environment, your relationships is either adding fuel to your fire or pouring water on it. There is no neutral. The people you surround yourself with either remind you of your strength or make you forget it. Think about how many hours you've wasted replaying arguments, walking on eggshells, trying to decode passive-aggressive comments, or explaining your heart to someone who refuses to hear you. That's time you'll never get back. That's mental space you could have used to create, to grow, to live. But when you're stuck in a toxic dynamic, your energy is hijacked. Your mind is in constant defense mode. You're not thriving, you're surviving. And surviving is not the same as living. Toxic relationships come in many forms. It's not always screaming or slamming doors. Sometimes it's the quiet erosion of your confidence. Sometimes it's subtle manipulation, someone who constantly questions your choices, your direction, your worth. Sometimes it's the friend who laughs at your goals or always finds a way to make everything about them. Sometimes it's the family member who guilts you for choosing a different path, who keeps you locked in a version of yourself you've outgrown. And if you don't confront these dynamics, they become normal. You begin to shrink without even realizing it. You were not created to play small for someone else's comfort. You were not meant to dim your light so someone else doesn't feel insecure. That's not love, that's control, that's fear, that's dysfunction. And you've got to make a decision. Are you going to keep wasting your time trying to be enough for people who have no intention of meeting you where you are? Or are you going to rise, even if it means rising alone for a season? Because there's power in choosing peace over chaos. There's power in choosing growth over guilt. There's power in saying this relationship no longer serves who I'm becoming. That's not selfish, that's survival, that's self-respect. That's stepping into the life that's been waiting for you on the other side of your people-pleasing and fear of conflict. You don't owe anyone your peace. You don't owe anyone your silence. You don't owe anyone access to the parts of you they've consistently mishandled. What you owe is to yourself, to protect your energy, to guard your vision, to stand in your worth even when it's uncomfortable, because the people who are meant to walk with you won't require you to sacrifice yourself to keep the connection. They'll challenge you to be better, not small. They'll push you higher, not drag you down. And yes, it might hurt to let go. Yes, it might be lonely at first. Yes, there might be grief, confusion, or fear, but that pain is nothing compared to the pain of staying stuck in a cycle that keeps you from becoming who you were born to be. You were not put here to constantly fix broken dynamics or beg for basic respect. You were put here to live boldly, love deeply, and lead with purpose. So stop wasting your time trying to change someone who doesn't want to change. Stop explaining your value to people committed to misunderstanding you. Stop revisiting wounds just because they're familiar. Your time is sacred. Your energy is sacred. And your future is too important to be sacrificed for someone else's comfort zone. Make the hard choice. Draw the line. Choose peace. Choose space. Choose to walk away, not out of anger, but out of love for yourself. Because when you finally release what's been weighing you down, you make room for what's meant to lift you up. You create space for real connection, real growth, real love, the kind that doesn't require you to lose yourself to keep it. The life you want is waiting on the other side of that decision. Don't waste another minute. Let go. Rise up and reclaim your time. Regret is a thief. It sneaks in quietly, usually disguised as reflection, and before you know it, you're living in the past, staring at the door that's already closed, while the one in front of you stays wide open and untouched. But here's what most people don't understand. Regret doesn't change anything. Thinking about what you should have done, what you could have said, or how life might have gone if you made different choices doesn't bring peace. It just steals your present and mortgages your future. The past has no power unless you give it permission. It's not a place to live, it's a place to learn. Yet far too many people set up permanent residence there. They replay old conversations, relive past failures, re-experience pain like it just happened yesterday. And for what? What's done is done. Time doesn't run backward. Every second you spend trapped in the mental reruns of your life is a second you're not creating something new. You're not making progress, you're not growing, and you're definitely not healing. You're just stuck. You've got to understand something deep. Your past does not define you unless you let it. Maybe you've made mistakes. Maybe you've hurt people. Maybe you've failed, lost time, lost trust, or lost your way. That makes you human, not broken. What matters isn't what happened back then. What matters is what you do now. The greatest tragedy isn't that you made a wrong turn. It's that you keep revisiting the intersection, hoping for a different road to appear. That's not how life works. You don't change the past. You outgrow it. You build something new so powerful that the old story no longer has weight. So stop wasting time trying to rewrite a chapter that's already been printed. You want to change your life? Start writing the next one right now, in this moment. Because the future doesn't ask what you meant to do, it responds to what you decide to do. And every time you choose to engage with life instead of looking back in pain, you reclaim your power. You are not your failures, you are not your bad decisions, you are not the worst day of your life, and you are not the person they told you were when they were angry or afraid. You are the result of every decision you make from this moment on. But you've got to stop dragging the weight of yesterday into today if you ever want to rise. You can't build momentum with your feet anchored to the past. Let it go. Let go of the shame. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the people who only knew the old version of you. Let go of the old identity that was built in survival mode, the one that kept you small, quiet, afraid. You don't owe your past anything except your gratitude. It taught you, it shaped you, but it is not the blueprint for where you're going. If anything, it's the contrast, the proof of how far you've come. The mind loves to replay regrets because it tricks you into thinking that reflection equals resolution. But reflecting without action is just rumination. It's emotional quicksand. And the more you think about what went wrong, the more you reinforce it. The story becomes your identity. I'm the one who messed that up. I'm the one who always chooses wrong. I'm the one who missed my chance. No. You're the one who gets to decide differently. You're the one who gets to rise from it. You're the one who gets to use it, not to stay stuck, but to go higher. Every successful person, every leader, every trailblazer has regrets. That's not what makes them different. What makes them different is that they don't live there. They don't carry it. They don't keep opening the same wound, hoping it'll finally hurt less. They make peace with it. They extract the lesson, and they turn that pain into fuel, into focus, into fire. You want freedom? You want peace? Then you've got to learn to stop negotiating with your past. It's done. Signed, sealed, finished. The only thing you control now is what you do with what you've learned. And that choice, that power, is always right in front of you. Not yesterday, not someday, now. Stop wasting time apologizing to the version of you who didn't know better. You know better now. Stop grieving a version of your life that never happened. You have the power to create something even better. But you can't do that when your eyes are fixed backward. Life happens forward. Dreams live forward. Purpose is forward. So take a breath. Forgive yourself. Forgive the ones who couldn't love you properly. Forgive the moments that broke you. And then get up, recommit, rebuild, refocus. Because every time you choose presence over regret, you reclaim your time. You reclaim your energy. You take one more step into the life that's waiting for you, not behind you, not around you, but right in front of you. You owe it to yourself to stop wasting time in the past and start making something powerful out of what you have now. The next chapter is unwritten, and the pen is still in your hand. Waiting for the perfect moment is one of the greatest illusions people fall into. It's this idea that someday, when everything aligns, when you feel ready, when the timing is right, when the fear disappears, then you'll act. Then you'll take the leap. Then you'll go after the dream, start the business, change your habits. But that perfect moment, it doesn't exist. It's a fantasy, a comforting story we tell ourselves to justify hesitation. The truth is, the people who move forward, the ones who actually create change in their lives, aren't waiting for perfect conditions. They act in spite of imperfection. If you keep waiting for everything to be just right, you'll stay stuck in the same cycle year after year. You'll keep saying, maybe next week, maybe after this project, maybe when I feel more confident, and life will keep passing you by. There is no right time to start. There is only now. And if you don't learn to move in the now, you'll find yourself constantly preparing, but never progressing. Planning, but never producing. Dreaming, but never doing. The perfect moment is a lie dressed up as wisdom. It sounds smart. It sounds responsible. I just want to be sure. But deep down, it's fear. It's fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of uncertainty. And as long as fear runs the show, action takes a back seat. The only way to beat fear is to move anyway. Confidence doesn't come before action, it comes from action. Clarity doesn't come before the decision. It comes from living in the decision, adjusting as you go, learning on the move. So many people waste years trying to figure it all out before they take the first step. But life doesn't work like a math equation. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. You just need the courage to move, to begin, to say, I don't know what's coming, but I trust myself enough to figure it out. Because you will. You're more resilient than you think. You're stronger than you've given yourself credit for. And when you move, when you take imperfect action, doors start opening that you couldn't even see from where you were standing. If you keep waiting for a sign, this is it. This is your wake-up call. Stop postponing your life waiting for conditions that may never arrive. That idea you have, that dream you keep pushing off, that's not just a random thought. It's a call, a calling. And calls don't wait forever. Every time you ignore it, every time you delay, it gets quieter. Not because it's gone, but because you've trained yourself to stop listening. There's no growth in hesitation. There's no power in postponement. You gain strength by stepping into discomfort, by daring to act before you're fully ready. Readiness is a myth. No one ever truly feels ready to change their life. They just decide that staying the same is no longer acceptable, that the pain of stagnation has finally outweighed the fear of movement. You don't need another plan, you need movement. You don't need more preparation, you need decision. And you don't need to be perfect, you just need to be committed. Action leads to momentum. Momentum leads to transformation, but it all starts with the choice to move before you feel ready. Every second you delay, you reinforce the belief that you can't. You teach your brain that fear gets to vote, that doubt gets a say, and the longer you wait, the louder those voices become. But when you act, when you push past the hesitation, you train your mind to trust you. You build self-respect, you build certainty, you build a foundation that says, I do hard things, I move even when it's messy, I don't wait to feel ready, I rise to the occasion. So whatever it is you've been putting off, do it. Make the call, write the first page, have the hard conversation, start the thing you keep talking about. Because if you don't, a year from now, you'll wish you had. A decade from now, you'll wonder why you waited so long. Don't waste another moment chasing the illusion of perfect timing. The moment you're in is the moment. Right here, right now. Decide, move, and trust that everything else will meet you on the path. Chasing external validation is like running on a treadmill. You're working hard, you're exhausted, but you're not going anywhere. The moment you tie your worth to someone else's opinion, you give away your power. You hand over the keys to your self-esteem and let the world decide how valuable you are. And the truth is, the world is never consistent. One day they'll cheer for you, the next they'll criticize you. If your identity depends on that approval, you'll ride an emotional roller coaster for the rest of your life. You don't need permission to be who you are. You don't need a round of applause to validate your path. The need for external validation is rooted in a lack of self-trust. It's a symptom of being disconnected from your own voice. And the longer you look outside of yourself for reassurance, the more distant you become from your own inner compass. It's easy to fall into the trap. We all want to be liked, understood, respected. But when your choices are driven by the desire to please, rather than by the pull of your purpose, you lose yourself one decision at a time. It starts small. You adjust your dreams to avoid disappointing others. You tone down your passion so you're not too much. You play it safe to avoid criticism. And before you know it, you're living a version of life that looks good on the outside, but feels empty on the inside. Why? Because it's not your life. It's a performance, a role, a version of yourself created to win approval, not fulfillment. You were not born to meet other people's expectations. You were born to become who you are. That requires courage. The courage to disappoint people in order to stay true to your values. The courage to be misunderstood without losing your peace. The courage to walk away from the crowd and follow the whisper inside of you that says, there's more. The irony is, the moment you stop chasing validation is the moment you become magnetic. Why? Because people are drawn to authenticity, realness, certainty. Not perfection, not performance, but the kind of confidence that comes from someone who knows who they are and doesn't need everyone else to agree. That's powerful. That's rare. And that's what builds a life of substance. Ask yourself, how much time have you wasted trying to prove something to people who aren't even paying attention anymore? How many dreams have you shelved because you were afraid someone might laugh, criticize, or not approve? How often have you dimmed your light just to make someone else comfortable? You don't need another compliment to know you're enough. You don't need more likes, more followers, more claps from the side. What you need is to anchor your identity in something deeper. Your values, your growth, your mission. The truth is, the more you grow, the more you will trigger people who aren't ready to grow themselves. That's not your problem. That's not your business. Your job is to stay aligned, not to stay liked. Every second you spend trying to convince someone of your worth is a second stolen from building the life you want. And here's the kicker. The people who truly matter, the ones who love you, respect you, and support you, don't need convincing. They see you. They get it. And the ones who don't, let them go. Stop begging for seats at tables you don't belong at. Stop auditioning for roles that don't fit your soul. The real freedom comes when you finally say, I approve of me. That's the moment everything changes. You move differently, you speak with more clarity, you act with more conviction, you stop editing yourself, you start showing up fully. And from that place, you build something real. Not just success, but fulfillment. Not just applause, but alignment. You are not meant to be everyone's cup of tea. You're here to be you. Boldly, honestly, unapologetically. So stop wasting your life chasing approval from people who don't even understand the vision God put in your heart. Trust yourself, back yourself, validate yourself, because the moment you do, you'll realize you never needed their approval in the first place. You just needed your own.